So,
Here we are.
and we're here.
And we're here.
Fun. It's better late than never, everyone. Man. Hey, everyone. Welcome to SVT Time, a special edition of SVT Time here. I was counting last SVT Time, Don. This is officially our 19th episode.
19.
19.
Wow.
But
wow.
Yeah, there's some sitcoms that haven't lasted this long. So, hey, everybody, welcome. Our sincere apologies for coming in here late. It's been a wacky day. It's just been an absolute wacky day, just trying to figure out the logistics of StreamYard and sharing screens and audio, and so bear with us here.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a special episode of SVT Time that we're calling Sweet Talk. The reason why we're calling it Sweet Talk is because obviously in the last month, Ampeg just launched this brand new SVT plugin that has never been done before by Ampeg. Obviously, there's been third-party companies that have done it, but this is the first time that Ampeg has ever done this on our own. And the reason why it's just Dom and I is mainly because Dom, I will say this, Dom was the brainchild behind this. Obviously, Dom, you have a long history of producing and recording, and you've just this is the world that you come from, and so we're going to take it from here. So, my special guest today is Dom Liberati, the product manager for Ampeg.
I think we just saw a bunch of people drop off. I can't figure out why. No, thank you, Dino.
No.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been exciting to look at Ampeg as a brand. I mean, as you know, I started at least with Yamaha Guitar Group through leading QA on all the Helix products and the HX products, and just seeing such a great Eric Klein did such a good job, product manager for Helix, moving basically Line 6 forward and doing a very elegant form factor of basically mixing this technology with the guitar world. And with Ampeg being a sister brand to Yamaha Guitar Group or under Yamaha Guitar Group and related to Line 6 in that way, me moving into product manager for Ampeg, I've been just a fan of the brand for so long. I'm primarily a bassist. I've pretty much only ever played Ampeg. Once I was discernible enough to know, what I wanted to go with. So it was definitely a dream to be able to create products that basically I always think of like 15-year-old me, 18-year-old me, like younger me, and what I would want to aspire to through a brand. So like you said, we've had a lot of third-party versions of an Ampeg plugin, and some executed very, very well. So it was a little. The bar was high for us coming in here, but it was like we definitely knew we needed to do something straight from Ampeg, directly from all the resources that we have, and really the gear that we have that maybe nobody else has, to really get good captures and good modeling to get this out. But it's essentially, I think, a first step in several steps to modernize the brand a little bit. I mean, a lot of people, I think, equate Ampeg with just classic, iconic. These are all amazing things. We had the B15 in the late 40s, the SVT in the late 60s, and both of those, the B15 amp and the SVT amp, we look at them as like classic and iconic amps that really define bass tone from the get-go. But if you really look at what those were at the time, they were very, very pioneering, cutting-edge technology in both amplifiers. To do a 300 watt, all tube amp was unheard of at the time, especially for bass. And then
Right.
with the B15 to have something really, we laugh at it now based on the portability that we have in amps modern day. But at the time, the flip top was just like a totally modernized concept, and obviously the baffle design in B15 just making that sound incredible. So we're trying to take that spirit and the spirit of what we do, which is really pioneering technology, and advance that into 21st century. So this is our first step in that, and I'm really proud of it. We essentially got 3 legendary SVT heads into this plugin, 8 cabs. We have over 9 microphones that you can use, and you can adjust position and everything, which we'll show you in a little bit. But we coming out of the gate with this, we've gotten a really, really good response from customers and artists alike, and it's just really cool to see people see the vision of where we're going.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I'm glad you said that, because that's kind of been one of my questions. And for those of you that are watching, obviously, the dynamic between Dom and myself has been, obviously I've been with the brand for about, I think we're going on 17 years now. And Dom, you came on as the product manager, what, 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
2018.
Yeah. And, I kind of view it as sort of like the old guard, new guard sort of thing. We both have like the same taste in tone and sound and preferences and things like that. But, and I'll just give people a little insight here. When Dom and I go back and forth, it's like, you have the new vision of where Ampeg needs to be, and you're always reminding me of that, because I've been with the brand for so long. I kind of have an older vision, an older history of the brand. So a lot of times when you're like, "Hey, let's do this," I'm like, that's like trying to show the old dog new trick sort of thing, But you have a great way of convincing me, though, in a lot of ways.
Well, it's funny, in a lot of approval emails and things that get buy-in from both Dino and I, we rarely disagree on anything. But yeah. I think the one thing that you're talking about is like the push and pull of, it's really good. It's like we have our own internal checks and balances where, if I'm trying to go way out here and like Dino's trying to bring me back into like, okay, let's baby step it, which is a good thing, a very good thing. Yeah, I think that's good for the brand.
Yeah, but so let me back up a little bit here, just again, so people know. And I'm going to embarrass you here for a second, and I'm going to embarrass you in a good way. So a lot of people don't know this about you. Before you started with Line 6, you have a pretty extensive history in the studio scene in LA. You are a Grammy-nominated bass player. I say that, but I joke you about it, but it's like, you are, man. You were nominated for a Grammy for your playing. And that's something to always present out there. So
thank you.
You're no stranger to this studio. You're no stranger to plugins. You know more about this stuff than I ever did. And you've educated me so much over the last couple of years on it too. So I just want people to know that it's not, it's just not coming from where it's coming from. Basically, it's coming from a knowledge base that you have.
Thank you. Yeah. If there's one thing that I know, I feel like it's bass. That's the only thing I know. But no, it's just living in that world long enough. It was just, again, really, it honestly, it's like getting to work with you and getting to create. That's the biggest thing. Like with playing bass, with producing, with writing, it's just creating every day. And with this, to be able to create stuff that's going to impact the industry, maybe in a different way than a song, but almost maybe in a bigger way to kind of creep into different songs and have people... the biggest thing for me is like people's workflow. If there's something that can provide the same sonic quality, but it's really improving their workflow, that's a huge honor to provide that and find solutions for that. Yeah, we almost feel like we're moving from like strictly bass amp company and amplification to like bass solution company in a way.
Exactly. Because let's face it, you and I both know, and with the artists that we've worked with and the situations that they're working with and dealing with, between clean stages and set producers and set designers. Yeah. I'm going to say, probably 50% of the major touring acts that are out there now don't want amps on stage. Yeah. And out of that 50%, maybe 50% of those, they don't even want amps under the stage. They just want some sort of solution that's going to put their bass that's hanging off their neck out to 50,000 people in the audience, whether it's an amplifier, a plug-in, a DI. That's what we're faced with as a bass manufacturer these days.
Yes, and not to, we don't want to terrify anyone. We're never going, as far as I know, knock on wood, going to stop. As long as tubes exist, we will never stop making SVTs and tube amps. Don't worry about that. Yeah. But it is something of like, how do we take this brand gracefully into the future and provide those solutions, and doing it in a cutting edge way, but also doing it in the classic Ampeg way that people are comfortable with. So we feel like SVT Suite is the first kind of step into that.
Yeah, Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, that's always where Dom and I absolutely agree on is the SVT is not going anywhere.
Hmm.
Nor is that technology. Not as long as I mean, as long as they're still making tubes and we have tubes available, we will continue to build SVTs. It's still one of it. If I'm not mistaken, I haven't looked at any numbers or anything like that, but between backline companies and retail, the SVT is still the number one selling amp in our lineup, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever, between the Heritage 50th and the CL. So,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
let me ask you this: what makes SVT Suite different from all the other plugins?
It's a great question. So first and foremost, it's Ampeg amps and cabs and everything directly from Ampeg. So directly from the people who made the amps, from us, and it's not a third party thing where, some plugins you need proprietary hardware. A lot of those plugins have gone native now, but in terms of separating out these like amp per amp plugins, we felt like that wasn't enough, especially as our first impression into the market. We really wanted to just pack a punch and give you like an all-in-one stop for bass. So basically, and this can be synth bass as well. I've used SVT Suite on synth bass a ton of times. It's really cool. We actually have some baked in factory presets that are specifically for synth bass. And we know a lot of MDs and guys who are playing live, or guys and gals playing live, are using both playing bass as much as playing synth bass for the most part, especially in pop music. So we really wanted to cater to both of that. But we felt like just giving you one amp is kind of what everybody else is doing. There have been some other companies that have done bundles in the past, but with this, we actually started right out of the gate with giving you the 50th anniversary SVT, which nobody else has that model. That's our brand new amp. That's our top of the line amp. That's Heritage. It's all American made. It's top of line parts. It's fashioned like an old, like channel 1 is an old 69 original SVT voicing, and then channel 2 is a very classic, very well sought after version of the SVT, the Magnavox era, the mid 70s, the 1975. So we not only gave you that amp, we gave you the jumping capabilities of the inputs, which we'll show you too, to basically combine that into like a hybrid amp, which you can do in the real world. So we took that, and that was like the first step. And then we thought, well, what are the other SVTs that people love, that are probably the most applicable in the studio? And that's definitely the 4 Pro, that tube solid state hybrid powerhouse, and then the Heritage SVT-CL. We didn't want to do just the regular SVT-CL, not that there's anything wrong with it. We wanted to give you that extra step of having the Heritage model with the American made stamp on it. So those are the 3 amps, but we not only gave you those 3 amps, which other people, we have given you different amps before, but we have the rear panel, which you can see all like the different the power settings, and you can the tube, the biasing, the sag, even like the the 60 cycle hum you can control.
Right.
Just fun little nuances like that you can't get elsewhere. And then like another huge feature that is like running that parallel with our coveted SVT DI. I think it's like the #1 requested. Bring back the SVT DI, which I can't say anything about. But we have a parallel path. That's Bronco.
Hey,
this is inverted. There he is. He's a fan. Studio dog. Studio Ewok dog. So we got that SVT DI parallel out, which is huge in the studio, and we just bake that into the actual plugin. You don't have to run a separate track. You don't have to basically just set up a whole other thing. I mean, you can still have the freedom to do so, but to basically have that baked in is really, really cool. So those are just some of the features up front. I mean, obviously having 8 cabs with 6 different mics, and then we have 3 different room mics on top of that with independent levels. It's like, wait, I get all these classic Ampeg cabs, basically almost our entire lineup of SVT cabs, including, in addition to the Heritage 810 AV, which everybody loves, the old 1960s original squareback SVT, or 810 rather. That a good friend of ours allowed us to borrow for a few months to just shoot and make sure we get the best IRs possible out of that. So that has been a fan favorite, I feel like, since this has come out, is like that old school squareback. Has some serious low end to it.
Yeah. in fact, most of the artists that we have, and we'll talk about this a little bit too. That's another distinguishing thing is we've got some like major artists, Ampeg bass artists and producers,
Yeah.
that donated their time and their presets to this too. So when you buy the suite, you're getting, however many years of experience cumulatively in presets there. But yeah, the general consensus is like everybody digs that original square back 810 cab, and they actually I don't know which team did it, but they actually like nailed the graphics, like right down to like even the Tolex is beat up on it. In fact, let's take a look. Let's take a look at it, because there's so many things here that.
This was, in terms of the graphics, Brandon Frenzel, one of our graphic designers, he's just incredible. Like the detail on the amps, it's just, photorealistic design.
It looks like you're looking at a 4, like I could grab a 4 Pro off of my rack here and it would look just like what you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. So, got a little bit of Rogue output level coming through my DAW. Apologies. So for the jump, I just want to show with the 50th, the jumping, it's like super easy in terms of you literally just click and toggle different jumper positions per separate inputs. So just kind of like the real world, you can very quickly audition all those different settings just with a click. But what you're talking about was the beautiful 810 square back here with all the distressing and everything.
Yeah.
So this is so I don't know if probably people don't get this joke that I had, but where is it? By the way, you're seeing Rogue presets. These are all the versions of the factory presets that I worked on before we actually launched them. So if any of you hate the presets, just know that it took forever to get to that section and be nice.
Right?
No, we always joke at Ampeg and say all presets suck always, because you never know who is using what configuration of preamps, DIs, whatever, to go into your DAW. And leveling and all of that, so you got to do your best with what you have. But when I created, I think it's in here, Stone Edge. This is definitely a Spinal Tap joke within a preset. So there you have it.
Stone Edge. Now is that?
Or should I call him Mini Me?
I was going to say it, but that's included. That is included in the suite right now, right?
Yes. So. Yeah. So all of these are included. These are all the factory presets that are out of the box here, and that's per amp. And then we have our artists and producers.
Yep.
Awesome list here, and then some templates to just quick starts to get you where you need to go. These are all ones that I've saved myself. So you literally have it's basically up to your hard drive space of how many presets you want to have. Yeah.
If you can't find a usable sound between all the presets and the artist presets and the producer presets, then start from scratch. Like, so if somebody approaching this, and I somewhat I don't consider myself a novice anymore, only because you've coached me on a lot of this stuff as well. But somebody that's new to this, that's getting into it, they just they uploaded Cubase or Steinberg or Logic or whatever, and they're starting their project studio. What would you recommend somebody starting off once they open this up?
Yeah.
Obviously you got 3 amps, but like, what would your first words of like, what would you recommend somebody new at this? Where would they start? Yeah,
I would basically with this default preset, we tried to make everything sound great out of the box, so you literally could just pull it up and it's usable, and it feels like the most universal go-to sound, but if you I would recommend, I love this preset, if you go into Rocky through the SVT 4 Pro, I feel like that's almost the most signature kind of SVT sound out of like modern day SVT sound. But I would definitely say start with the with these in the box factory presets, because per amp you're going to find out very quickly if you literally like click on any of these and then click, basically if you're auditioning any presets within those amp separate amp folders, you're going to hear very quickly how different these amps sound and like kind of the signature characteristic of each. So that to me is like the quickest way to get your head wrapped around, okay, that's what this sounds like, that's what this sounds like. I would definitely start with the amp view. That's kind of what loads first anyway. Um,
Yep.
Cab view can definitely get a little in the weeds, so I would basically turn off cab 2 and just start with one cab.
Now you
And
could
when
turn off both cabs if you wanted to and just run the head, right?
correct, you can basically do this separately with these two power icons, or you can just turn off cab view altogether from this top view. What's
Oh,
cool
okay.
too is like if you're in this top view and say you don't want to actually travel to this tab to turn it off, you can just option click it and it'll automatically bypass.
So essentially, you could do the same too. If you just wanted the cab and not the amplifier, you could turn the amplifier off.
Yeah, let's say you're running an amp in real world and you just literally want to use this almost as an IR loader, or just using R cabs, which are full resolution IRs.
Yep.
Yeah, you can just basically only use cab view. Say you have everything else taken care of and you only want effects. Say you want to throw some of these effects on the synth bass, you don't even need these two options. That's another cool thing about this is that you have all these 5 effects and you can drag them in any order you want. What else is cool is that you can basically have, let's say you had these 3 turned on. Instead of having separate automation for these 3 separate pedals, you could just automate this view to turn on and off. And
Okay.
now you're kind of like automating the whole bundle in a sense. So
So you
there's a
don't
lot
have
of,
to hit each pedal individually.
right. And you can still do individually if you want, but it's a lot of flexibility there. What's kind of cool too is that we really wanted to provide people. You were saying with people just starting out with the plugin for the first time, we wanted to provide a helper. But I know in a lot of like in Logic, if you turn on the helper text, it's kind of like just popping up all over the place and just in your face a little too much. And especially if you're trying to hover over and see like parameter values here. Just little things like that. So essentially, what we provided, which is just on for anybody to see at any point, is whenever you highlight any target, down here in the lower left is like a little ticker text that will basically tell you what every single thing does. So you don't even really need a manual. You just, whatever you're looking at, you just kind of look at the bottom there, and it's pretty, I mean, it tells you exactly what each parameter does. So
And that's cool. It shows up on the bottom. It doesn't show up as a pop-up button.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of, it's out of the way, but if it's there if you want it.
That is cool. That is
Yeah,
very.
even for each individual slider, it's almost like essentially we put a manual in like bit by bit form.
Yep. Yep. Now, if you could go back to the Heritage 50 for a second. Let's see the backside of that, because that's something that is not offered anywhere else either, where you can actually adjust
Yeah.
your tube parameters on the amplifier as well.
Yeah, there's some plugins that have, like a power soak parameter or something that is just kind of an all-in-one, and this one separates each of these parameters out. What's cool is that, again, somebody starting for the first time, you can quickly just get a bunch of different preset states, which I kind of call these macros. They're like starting points. So, which essentially every preset is. It's like a jump-off point from where you want to, like wherever you want to custom tailor the sound. But this is pretty cool where you kind of don't really stray outside of like these 5 kind of go-tos, but you can customize any way you want. And the second you do that, it kind of switches over to user. And as soon as you save the preset, it just saves whatever you last left these in, which is really, really cool and pretty quick workflow. So yeah, it's pretty nice. I mean, there are rarely times that you want to turn up the hum, but maybe you are trying to do something really authentic and trying to make it sound a little old school. And just, cranking that up a little bit. Really fun to mess with the bias settings in the SAG to just see how those tubes would react. We actually thought about for a moment modeling the fan noise and allowing you to turn it on and off, but we I confess we actually ran out of time. We're like, it's probably more important to get this plugin out to the world than to do that. But yeah.
That is, and you can mess around with all the tube parameters, and the beauty of that is you're not screwing up a $300 set of
exactly, or having to I don't know in any way touch the back of the 300 watt tube amp and risk anything. Yeah,
man, that is cool. Like I said, I haven't gotten into messing around with the parameters back there, but obviously I've been doing some sessions here as well for a couple of guys, and in the past I was recording with, there it is, the B15, just the mic B15,
right?
And I started sending them some tracks from the plugin, and generally, like if I changed anything in my setup, they'd be like, man, something's different, like in your style, you're using a different bass, or but with the plugin, man, it's been really easy. It's been really transparent, and I can record at 3 o'clock in the morning without disturbing my family by using the plugin instead of having a live amp going too. So
or carrying a 90-pound amp or a this original Squareback 810 was what, over 100 pounds probably back in the day.
Oh yeah, the original, I think it was like 165 pounds.
Wow. Yeah,
just over 160 pounds, whatever. Yeah.
And what's cool, you mentioned the B15, and it's like, let's say you had an IR of your B15, or you had an IR from somebody else. It is super easy to so basically you just switch from our cabs, which are IRs. If you don't prefer them, cool. You can use your third-party IR. Essentially in the, let's see here, let's go to preferences. Right now, this is the only preference we have anyway. You set your path to where your IRs are. Let's go to my sounds. Somewhere in here, I have actual IRs.
So, and it doesn't, it can be any IR. It doesn't have to be an Ampeg IR. It could be an IR from anybody.
Anybody. And I'm trying to find out where mine are. I think I actually have. You can see all my contents here.
Files there.
Millions. Oh, you know what? It's in there we go. IRs. Let's grab some of these. Let's just say, yeah, we wanted, I think I have a B15 in here, maybe. I don't. These are, oh, there we go.
You're going to make me put my glasses on, aren't you?
I know. Now let's grab an acoustic 360 just because.
There you go.
So, yeah. So let's grab a 48K and just, actually, you know what? I didn't even need to do that. So this is basically.
You can just drop the whole folder?
Yeah. This is the folder that I'm choosing. Sorry, my screen sharing is hiding where I execute this. There we go. Okay, so I chose the new folder, and now I can refresh, and it's scanning for all the impulses, which I have several in there.
So you just dropped that whole folder in there?
Yes, which, I've never had an issue with this before, and of course it's going to do it to me now.
Well, Murphy's Law.
It's just still scanning.
Man,
Dino and I had so many, not with the plugin, with just setting up this whole stream and trying to get streaming audio from the session. We had so many issues. So so just so everybody knows, the original intent was we were going to have audio going as well, as well as sharing screens and Dom's screen, the vocal mic, so we could hear Dom talk, and obviously Dom can hear himself play. If you've ever worked with StreamYard, it's a phenomenal platform, but it does have its limitations. And also, I'm using.
We lost you. Yeah. Ruh-roh. Technical difficulties. So, yeah. Like I was saying, so, StreamYard is this awesome program, but it does, like I said, especially if you're not familiar with on how to use audio interfaces and stuff like that, it does get kind of choppy at times. So, yeah. So I'm gonna go through here while Dom's getting his audio back. Let's see some comments here, and guys, by all means, for everybody that's watching, please type your questions in the comments, because Dom and I are here to answer some of these. I was using the cab sims of the Ampeg with the Neural DSP dark class front and vice versa. Adam, my trial with the Suite ran out. I really like it a lot. Just have to muster up to 200 clamps. The AmpSim section is really neat. Adam, man, thank you for downloading it. First off, that's the whole idea is, we do understand, it's $200, and we want you guys to be able to download it and try it out, see what you're getting, for $200. We really think it's a far superior plugin than what's offered, and hopefully at some point, we will be able to get you to download the full version. And yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Here he is. He's back.
So I want to add again, not having problems with this, having a ton of problems with Logic today. and it's mainly because I decided, let's throw. Actually, right now I'm even having problem. I'm gonna open a new Logic session that only has 2 tracks. I decided to basically put SVT Suite into a 150 track plus session to show to you all today, because I wanted to stream the song and show you how it fits in the song. Clearly, Logic is not playing well with StreamYard, so I'm going to boot up a new. Oh, here we go. Okay, it's finally behaving. Wow.
You got 150 tracks in that one.
130, close to 130, 127. Yeah,
and
a lot of these are like instruments. I still haven't bounced this all to audio, so
Wow.
that's on me. All right, let's go back to the bass track.
That is crazy.
Everyone's judging my messy producing style probably right now. All right, so back to the plugin. Here we are. Let's see if Logic. No, Logic's still.
Is it
not
still
having it with
about
that.
it? All right.
You know what? I'm gonna reopen this. Yeah, like every move that I make in Logic is freezing my screen. I'm gonna reset it. Dino.
Yeah.
10 seconds. All right.
Maybe 20. You're gonna leave me hanging again. All right.
I'm gonna leave you hanging. Sorry.
All right. Go. You do your thing. I'm gonna address some of these questions here as well. So from Kirk, Ampeg Suite that was released last week. Kirk, thank you so much for those very kind words. I obviously I know Kirk personally here. He's a good friend of ours, and and when we do something wrong, he calls us out on it too. So I appreciate those kind words. Let's see here. Who else is commenting in here? Man. Great to hear it in a mix. Stacy, that's what Dom's working on right now to see if we can get this to be able to hear this in a mix. But again, with the limitations of StreamYard, what can I say? So we posted, if you'd like to check out the SVT Suite, start your free trial here. Again, if you download it, you get 15 days to check it out. And it's a full version. It's not like a locked version where you only get some of the features. You get to try out the entire suite for 15 days. So Dan Harsha, what DAW is it compatible with? I think it's compatible with pretty much everything. I know Dom and I are using Logic. Pretty sure Pro Tools, Cubase, of course. It's pretty much compatible with everything that I can think of. Let's see. John Willis has joined us, the king of HX Stomp. So that's cool, John. Thanks for joining us here today. Need to look into this as a studio. Yeah, man, that's a holiday album to record, and I think I'll see how it performs. Thank you. Nope, still not hearing you, Dom. I can see your mouth moving, but we're not hearing you. So let's see what else we're going on here. Now, like I said, I kind of joke, obviously. Sure. There you are. He's back.
Man. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
StreamYard is giving me fits here today. A lot of great comments.
This is all new, dude. Like I said, we're trying to share screens, trying to share audio sources.
Yeah.
It's pretty complex. So hopefully everybody here and everybody is cutting us some slack. It's not like anybody's chiming in saying, guys, get your crap together here,
So smaller session, handling a little bit better, not 130 some tracks. So basically what I was saying is you can, obviously go into your IR folder. If you hit refresh, from whatever you selected, it'll show that. And then basically you're selecting these IRs just like you would a cab. Yep. And, you can mix and match. Right now, this is acoustic 36810 along with our original square back. You can change the phase. The filtering is really great, especially, I've actually used it a lot in the real world. If you're using any of these cabinets, you want that full frequency response of everything, and you want that low end to feel in the room. But when you're mixing, at least for me, in an actual mix, you're going to need this to cut a little bit more. And a lot of times that sub low doesn't really translate in a full mix, or you have a lot of days now the kick is taking care of that frequency range. So these low cuts are really, really useful with a lot of these bigger cabs, especially on like a mic like the U47.
Sure.
If you're cutting off that low end a little bit, like right around 60 or below, it really helps that kind of dig into the mix and cut into the mix. That is one thing that I've found where like real world, if you have this soloed up on the default setting, it's, it sounds incredible. And it's cool that you have all this flexibility in a mix. A lot of times I'm cranking treble and mids a lot more to just really punch through. But it really depends on the
Yeah.
application.
Yeah. I mean, like I think we've all done this, like even in a live situation on stage or, doing a gig, you dial in this great sound through your rig. And then all of a sudden, you start playing, everybody starts kicking in, and that sound that you just dialed in isn't necessarily cutting it. And like you say, it's good to have that option so you can fine tune it. You can dial back some of the lows with the low cut.
What surprised me so much over time and what I learned a lot from, I when I first came to LA, I was working for the Guitar Hero video games, and we would get all the multi-tracks or the stems from all the labels for these classic rock songs and songs where you're just like, this mix is incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Police fan. It's probably my favorite band of all time. And that was the first song I got to work on was So Lonely by the Police. And, I'm used to hearing the full mix and how everything fits together and sounds great. And it wasn't just with them. It was whenever I would get these multi-tracks, I would listen to actually the individual tone of that bass or guitar or whatever. And it was so surprising to me how crappy it sounded on its own. And I'm just like, wait a second, I wouldn't use that tone,
right?
At all. But then you hear it all together and it's just like, oh, that makes sense now. Everything's like fitting together in a sonic spectrum. So yeah, as a bassist, this thing is like out of the box. You like barely want to change anything. But as a producer, it's like, it just depends on what you're working with.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, John actually asked, and I know the answer to this, surprisingly, is it possible to have two single 15 cabinets mic with different microphones? You want to show them, John?
And that's a great use case for the reason why we wanted to do dual cabs in the first place. Was it's not just dual cab, it's technically dual mic if you're thinking about it. So with any cab, but you were talking about the 15, so we'll go to the 15E here. So you have dual 15Es, and then all you do is just select a different mic. And what's kind of crazy is how much I've been using this Royer 121.
Yeah.
Which we are only allowed to call the Ribbon 121. But essentially you can use off axis if you want, which is kind of cool for a little sonic variation. Or this slider corresponds with the actual mic that you can use to just adjust your position. So yeah, you can definitely do that easily. That's a really cool tactic of using really any of these cabs and just simulating a two mic scenario on one cab for the most part. And what's really cool about that too is you're not only adjusting the different mic levels of each of these different mics that you want to select, but now you can ride in the room mic. Say you only really want the room situation from one of these 15s. It's kind of
that is cool.
And the room really just provides like some extra air, a little bit of sub content if you want that. I'm really bummed out again that we can't like share the audio right now, but we've had some issues with StreamYard. So on the following SVT Suite or the Sweet Talk episodes that we're going to do, we'll definitely make sure we get that sorted.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know, like, obviously I know the Line 6 guys, when they're doing their Helix things as well, they're kind of running into the same issues where they're trying to share audio and separate screens and whatnot.
Yeah. Somebody was saying my mic level was quite low. Is that better?
Yep, much better.
Cool. All right, awesome. Thank you for the heads up on that.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, do us a favor. Can you switch over to the DI?
Yes, great. Yeah, great point. So by default, we had it off. We figured people would want to hear when you opened up the plugin for the first time. It goes to this view and you're seeing the 50th anniversary. We didn't want people to feel like when they were opening the plugin that all of a sudden they're like, wait a second, this isn't as much amp tone as I really wanted. So we by default have this deselected, but basically just clicking either this power icon or the actual model icon itself activates the SVT DI, and this is on a parallel path. So it's completely untouched by everything else that you're using in the plugin. Essentially, the only other thing that affects it is this input gain. So this doesn't exist in the SVT-DI in the real world, but we added the saturation knob to just get some extra tube grid if you want it, and then this is this separate SVT-DI output, which is running in parallel with the output of the plugin and all the other modeling.
Now you can run the DI. Let's say you just wanted to run the DI with no amp or cab.
Yep, that is a great scenario as well. So you just want a really good DI tone. So the quickest way to do that, obviously, you can turn off these 3 views, and it's pretty.
Yep.
That's pretty quick. That's not the quickest way to do it. So because of things like that and the templates, you can just do SVT DI only, and it's already turned on.
Yeah.
Everything else is turned off. So really, with a double click, you're there.
That is so cool.
And that kind of goes for like any of these situations where I want amp only, cab only, all these things. We even have like, IR and DI, which is probably a pretty useful situation where you want that SVT DI parallel, but you also want to use the IRs through whatever amp setting you're using.
Now the big question is, will I ever get my DI back?
Yeah, I think people want, if you want to know, this is not just the SVT DI. This is Dino's personal SVT DI, one of 2, I believe.
Actually, one of 5 at this point. I'm collecting.
That he let me use and that he may never see again. We'll see.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Keep it out there because I'm sure I'll need it when I get back to LA for whatever.
Also, this thing came to me. He handed me this, and it was in a Jack Daniels zip-up case, which was the coolest thing ever. So I felt like that co-branding that needs to happen.
There you go. I forgot about that. That's right. I haven't seen that DI in a while.
Let's dig into effects view a little bit because I want to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, and actually, before let's go here. Let's talk about the effects because I do have a question that I want to ask you, but let's talk about the effects first.
Yeah. So just to highlight too, we covered this a little bit earlier, but you can have effects view being the only thing running. So let's say you have another amp setup or an IR loader, or you just want to kind of get outside the box and just use these effects. That's totally doable. And we are strong encouragers, especially on the liquefier. That's a dual course, and it's actually, as you can see, it says analog course. It doesn't say bass course, so you can use this on guitar. There was a video I think we shared. We saw like a week or so ago where somebody was using it, SVT Suite, only on guitars. And this track that they did, and it sounded incredible. I was very impressed. I actually hadn't used it extensively on guitars yet, but they were using just only the amps and everything from here. So anyways, the Optocomp, the Scrambler, and the Liquefier, these middle 3, are all real-world pedals from Ampeg. These 2 we just designed for the plugin. If you want them in the real world, hit up Idea Scale, vote for it. I would be lying if I said we didn't put these in here to hopefully tease that, to maybe get a real world pedal out of it. We'll see. But I a lot of people get surprised about Ampeg having pedals. Like a lot of people think we only do amps and cabs and everything. So we do pedals, and these 3 exist in the real world outside of some other DIs and pedals. One of them, got it right here, being the SCR DI, which is basically the Scrambler and DI all in one box. All right, so that's shameless plug, but back into the suite. So the cool thing about this, obviously, is everything is, like real world, where you flip a switch, you turn a knob, everything acts like it would in the real world. But you can move these around. The order of the pedals themselves and the signal flow is in front of the amp, which is pretty typical of bassists. We didn't do any kind of like effects loop patching or anything like that. But that being said, you can rearrange the order of the pedals themselves before they go into the amp. So it's pretty crazy how different just moving like one pedal across the chain will sound. But these are all modeled like directly after the real world, so they're going to react exactly like you would in the real world. It's really cool to use this Scrambler in conjunction with the amp heads. Maybe you got a super clean sound on your amp, but you have this super overdriven, and then the blend is just great. Like you can, especially with me where I'm very cognizant of like having a super overdriven bass overdrive, but then being very conscious of where my low end is too in that signal. And it's pretty cool because you can basically use the DI2 to ride in like a clean low end if you feel like you're getting oversaturated with effects, but you want that kind of thing. Yeah.
That is cool. That is so cool. Now, I mean, I'm actually learning a lot about this as well, just because you and I really haven't had much time to sit down and talk about this. So question, does on the pedals, signal flow left to right or right to left?
It is left to right. So these little arrows, we tried to kind of
Oh,
accommodate
okay.
in that way because that is a great question. A lot of people set up right to left physically on their boards. So yeah, we provide these little arrows to try to help like tell everyone it's going that way.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. 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 Man, that is so cool. Now, the question that I had, and this is going to kind of lead us down the road here a little bit, but can somebody use this plugin in like a live playing situation? Like, could I take my laptop to my gig tonight and say, you know what, I got this and an actual hard DI and an interface that I'm just going to send to front of house?
You absolutely can. So this is in AAX, VST 2 and 3, wave AU format. So basically, if you're using MainStage or you have Logic or a DAW set up on your laptop, you can definitely use this live. We really wanted to accommodate to that user. Hopefully, one day we can get to standalone. I know that would just be like add a little layer of convenience there. But essentially, yeah, you can pull up your DAW, route it however you want. And like I said before too, with synth bass, it's really cool if you wanted to like patch this through. But in
Right.
terms of like just having a double click go to sound, it'd be pretty quick and streamlined. Yeah, if you wanted to use this live.
That's cool. That's cool. Because I know, obviously, like we had mentioned at the very beginning, it's like, the SVT is not going anywhere. It's going to be around for, probably the rest of my lifetime, your lifetime, and hopefully a few more lifetimes after
Yeah,
that. But,
yeah,
but let's face it, more and more big productions with clean stages and set designers, deciding we don't want amplifiers on stage. Especially, I mean, a perfect scenario for this that I'm thinking is like in a theater situation. You know what I mean? Where pit space is absolutely at a premium, and you could literally walk into a pit with your laptop, set it up on a stand, and your in ears, and here you go. Here's your
yeah.
um,
On
you
top
know
of for a gig like that, you're probably going to want a ton of different, very versatile sounds that you don't want to physically turn around and have to dial in each time on your amp.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of where I think I know the answer to this. I know we're looking at somewhat of the future of bass amplification, not just with Ampeg, but in amplification in general. But and you had mentioned this right from the beginning. Ampeg back in the '60s, back in the '40s, '50s, '60s, and even in the '70s,
Yeah,
we were, we steered the market. I mean, we kind of revolutionized, what bass amp was. Like we were constantly the innovators.
mm-hmm.
And all right, so we're in the 21st century now. The last 20 years, there's been so many bass amp companies that have come out. All of them are great companies. They all kind of do their own thing, and it's not that we weren't innovating stuff, but it was becoming hard. It's like writing a song. It's hard to write something original with 3 chords.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's hard to come up with something original with 60-year-old technology,
Mm-hmm.
i.e. tubes and MOSFETs.
Yeah.
So this kind of points and kind of gives everybody kind of a glimpse into the future of Ampeg as well. So, so where do we go from here, Dom? Like what are we talking all digital? Are we talking digital and analog? Again, like I said, SVTs, we're still going to build tube amps, but
Yeah.
I think we need to address the needs of some of today's future bass players as well by things like this.
Well, I will say yes to all of what you said.
We agree with everything.
What is cool? Yes to digital. Yes to all tube. Yes to all the above. It's funny. I a lot of really good suggestions in here. Steve was saying, can the pedals be assigned to channel 1 and on the head, and then blend in clean with channel 2? That is a really great request for a post 1.0. If you can go to idea scale, and then other people can like vote on that. That is basically the quickest, most streamlined official way of getting your idea seen and heard by us, and then considered for any updates or whatever. I love that idea. We have a cool idea of like, could you put the suite into a pedal, similar to Line 6 HX Stomp, perfect for the bassist. Totally agree on that too. So you guys are all scratching the surface, and Dino is already hinting at essentially we wanted with this plugin to kind of gain all of your trust in terms of our modeling capabilities as Ampeg, because we haven't really done any modeling up until this point. So, putting this into the market and having people trust, we can take care of digital solutions. And then just seeing how that plays out. I can't talk about it too much, but seeing how that plays out in terms of having that, having digital elements at least, or having modeling elements ported into hardware, and what that looks like. And with SVT, even with SVT Pro series, having that tube preamp into the solid state or Class D, or even MOSFET in some cases, amplifiers, it's like that was pioneering at the time too,
Yeah.
and was a cool cutting edge solution. So imagine that in conjunction with some digital solutions, things like that. There's definitely a lot of possibilities, and it's a matter of doing something, especially things that are cutting edge, that aren't basically jumping into like 3021 in terms of the future, but are still relevant and cutting edge to kind of moving the market to where it's kind of already going really anyway, and just providing solutions for that. Yeah.
That's
as specific and also NDA, non-NDA vague as I can be about moving forward.
Show me you can dance without showing me you can dance.
Yeah, exactly. I can share that we have a very long roadmap of a lot of things that fit into this. So we're not just like, we put out SVT Suite, so we can hang out for a while.
And that's it's funny because I'm usually the loudmouth out of the group. Like when somebody, hey, what's coming down with Ampeg? It's like, oh wow, we got all this great stuff coming down. So like Dom will actually like withhold stuff from me at times because he knows I'll just blab it.
If he doesn't know, then he can't be held accountable.
Exactly. What do they call it?
Can't be liable. I don't know. Yeah.
Accountable deniability or something like that. You
had mentioned though. There's one thing that I did want to show using this live. Say you have like a MIDI controller, or say you are using a Helix device that you have connected via MIDI, or even just hotkeys or whatever. We have this MIDI mode, basically this little MIDI icon, and when you have incoming MIDI, these little DIN connectors will flash green to just show you. But essentially, in any of these views, essentially any parameter that is automatable, which almost all of these are, that parameter is also MIDI controllable. So especially with these pedals, say you want to just throughout your gig send different CCs and control any of these parameters, you essentially, when you highlight or click this on, everything that can be controlled CC, and then you have the ticker text to tell you what to do here, you just select and it becomes red, which is like armed and basically ready to receive MIDI. I do not have this connected at the moment to MIDI, but you set a MIDI CC to it, and essentially it just responds to that CC. You can change bypass states. You can write up different parameters. You can go into amp view and basically change all of these as well on the amp via MIDI CCs. So a lot of flexibility there, and a lot of stuff that you can control live, and is really useful for live use.
Yeah, that is again,
almost a little too much for bass players to handle at times.
Well, no, actually, you're not kidding. It's like, my philosophy.
We're giving these bassists so much control.
Yeah, just give me an SVT with
the band and tour managers are not going to feel comfortable.
Right, front of house guys are going to be like, really? You're really going to do that? You're going to give them all this control?
Right now on tours, people are going to be like, the bassists are becoming self-aware.
That is too funny.
Dino, you're not going to say the self-deprecating jokes all day because we are bassists. But
exactly.
Speaking along those lines, though, this goes across the board, though, not just this is literally anybody, again, using the presets and not knowing what, preamp or DI or interface or whatever you're using going into the plugin. We created this like green safety zone, which is essentially like, if you stay within this zone, the plugin will sound how we expect it to sound. If you're kind of veering off into here, and same thing with the output. I mean, output is pretty obvious. You'll be clipping and it'll show you. But if you stay within this, the amp is responding to your input as realistically as we can kind of guide you within this range. So just a heads up on that.
So you're given, so it's a visual cue. So you can look and physically see, okay, I'm within my parameters here.
Yeah. And then, if you need a gate, it's here. And it's actually it's super, super usable, and it's really great for if I could stream audio in my 130 track session, I was going to show you how I really needed to use the gate. It was a very kind of punchy, poppy song that I literally had to like chop up whenever the bass wasn't playing. I just like completely chopped it out. But the fades and everything with that sometimes are just a little lagged with the timing. So I cranked the gate up too, and it just really helped kind of add that extra smooth kind of in and out, which is really nice. And if you're playing gent, or if you're playing, you know, whatever, it's really helpful.
You mean degent?
Degent.
Degent. I was saying that to my daughter the other day. I was calling it degent. Not even, and she's like, "Dad, really?" Degent.
That's amazing. I love that.
No, it's
also,
not. It just means I'm old.
It's a little out of touch. We need to have a session.
Yeah, really.
Also, for 1.0, look at our artist list here, artists and producers.
Yeah,
some of the best in the biz here.
We've got more coming in too. There were, you know, obviously we reached out to a bunch of artists that wanted, you know, they wanted to get in on this. They just didn't have the bandwidth or the time to put stuff together in time. But you know, in an updated version, that list will probably grow. You'll see some more familiar names in that list as well.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe we'll even get Dino on there.
You don't want one of my presets. It's basically it's going to be a volume knob.
Everything's on 10.
Yeah, everything's on 10. No, it's I don't know. Man, this seriously, this has been a learning experience for me too. Like I said, I've been playing around with it. I will say I've dug into it, but you and I really haven't had time to sit down and have like an in-depth conversation on this. And I figured this was a great opportunity, a great platform to explain to everybody too that had interest in it. You know, it's like, I didn't want people to say, oh, you know what? Yeah. Okay. Ampeg came out with a plugin. Well, you know, I've got this plugin from this company or this plugin for this company. So yeah, all right. I really want people to first of all, even if you have no intention of using a plugin, please just download the 15-day trial. Even if you have no intention of purchasing it, obviously we want you to purchase it, but we want you to dig into this and see what we're capable of at Ampeg and what we can give you in terms of solutions for your bass products, for your bass solutions, you know?
Yeah, because maybe there's something that is a barrier for you to purchase it, but it's something that you could suggest to us on Idea Scale, which I think Haji or somebody put in a link there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something that is a barrier of entry where you're like, hey, you know, if it had this feature, I would purchase it, and maybe we can get that accommodated with a post 1.0 update. I did want to bring up something that Kirk Burkhart, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Does the DI out time align fairly well with the mic'd amp? That is definitely a pro question, and it does. We did some time alignment adjustment to make sure that wasn't causing phasing issues or just having a weird latency issue there. So thank you for asking and paying attention to that detail. That was something that our sound design team made sure we accounted for, which was
right. That's cool.
And thank you, Andrew Bonica. He said, great work as always, guys. Used to work with Andrew. Great, brilliant mind there. Yeah.
No, I miss working with Andrew. Is there anything else that I'm forgetting to ask here, or that we're forgetting to cover?
We can't post it. John asked a question. I won't say what it is, and I can say I can either confirm or deny that we're working on it. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Okay.
But thank you,
John.
All
right. Yeah. Thanks, John. John's going to hit me up in private message. Come on, dude, spill the beans. No, but seriously, guys. Again, this is the whole purpose of this platform, is for you guys to ask questions, and by all means, like Dom has said, and I've said too, it's like, go to Idea Scale. As crazy of an idea as you may think it is, put it on Idea Scale. There's my Boston accent. Put it on Idea Scale, so Dom and I can see it, and we can present it to everybody else, you know, at management at YGG. Because if it's on there, obviously you guys want it, and if you see ideas on there that somebody else posted, you can upvote them too. Oh man, that's a great idea. You can click upvote, and the more upvotes we get, the more it puts it to the top of the list for us to see as well. So
Yeah.
it's a great platform for everybody to get their ideas in too.
Though I will save your time if somebody requests the acrylic bases. No matter how many upvotes it gets, Dino won't let me do it. So just know, just know right now.
No acrylic bases at this point.
That's great.
There's a whole long backstory to that we won't get into. If you see me at a trade show, ask me and I'll tell you the whole backstory to it. But not right now. Not right now. But yeah, seriously, guys, thank you everybody for dialing in. Everybody that's hung in there for, I think we're right at about an hour. I know we started late. I apologize for that.
We spent an hour talking about bass plugins, so that can say that speaks for itself in terms of everything that you can do with it.
Right, yeah. Exactly. I know that's who'd have thunk we could keep people engaged for an hour talking about a plugin, but I mean, there's so much into this plugin, man. It's not just a picture of an amp with some knobs on it that you can dial into your DAW. It really is. It's an amazing plugin that I think beginners and studio pros are going to find this really useful. I really do. So yeah. With that being said, we'll keep the line open here for a few seconds. But Dom, man, I cannot thank you enough for joining me here on Sweet Talk.
Thank you.
And guys, keep an eye open because obviously we're going to have SVT time as usual. I think in 2 weeks I don't have an artist dialed in 2 weeks, so keep an eye open for that. I'll get somebody lined up, but this is going to continue. We want to invite not just Ampeg artists, but we also want to invite producers and engineers that are using SVT Suite and get them as guests on Sweet Talk to get their insight, their thoughts. So if you guys are saying, hey, I'm trying to go for this sound, what's the best mic to use for that type of sound? You can ask some of these pros that we're calling in for Sweet Talk. And so keep an eye open for future Sweet Talk episodes that are going to be geared specifically around the SVT Suite. So, but
I agree. JMJ would be incredible, Stacy.
JMG would be incredible as well. There's just so many great guys and girls and people out there that just we want to get in on this. So by all means, throw out your suggestions on who you'd like to have on this episode as well. With that being said, I'm going to bid everybody adieu. And Dom, man, I can't thank you enough for your time here.
Thank you.
Thank you for your contributions to just being on the team and being part of Ampeg, and for keeping this old dog in line too.
Thank you. Hey, my most proud contribution is right here.
The coffee cup. The coffee cup.
Tried and true.
Yeah, I won't say SWAG. I will say Ampeg merch.
Yeah.
Anyways,
thank you all. Thank you for listening. Thank you for checking in and really giving us some great suggestions too. Appreciate that.
Cool. Yep. Thanks everybody. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Right on.